Hi, welcome to the Addiction Recovery Place podcast, the podcast champion in addiction treatment professionals around the world. I'm your host, Chris Langley, and I'm pleased to introduce today's guest, Mitch Prager. Mitch is the CEO, founder, and owner of Soberman's Estate, a men's treatment center located in Cave Creek, Arizona. The treatment center is professionals who seek privacy while attending treatment for addiction and mental health issues. Welcome to the Addiction Recovery Place podcast, Mitch. It's great to have you join us today.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's my pleasure.
Really appreciate it. I know you're incredibly busy, Mitch, so we're just going to jump straight in with the first question. Tell us about your journey and how you became to be the CEO of Soberman's Estate.
Well, my sobriety journey began May 25th of 1998, just over 26 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was about 14 years sober, my older brother, Jeff, was drinking. And, I say to him, Jeff, I quit drinking 14 years ago. You should stop drinking. He was taking pills every day that his doctor gave him. He was taking pain pills that were prescribed by his physician.
Mm.
And I was worried about it. And I said, look, Jeff, because you can die any day. You're taking pills, you're drinking. And I did my best to help my brother. And I was sober 14 years. And he had an accidental overdose and passed away in 2010 when I was 12 years sober. And I thought, here I am. I've got, 12 years of experience. I do go to 12-step meetings, and I'm a big fan of Alcoholics Anonymous, and he was not interested in doing that. He had been to treatment before, and he did not have a good experience in treatment and refused to go back to a treatment center. And then 2 years later, I was sponsoring my best friend. He was a physician, ear, nose, and throat physician in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we were best friends, and I sponsored him for 5 years. And for 5 years, he didn't have a drink, didn't have any drugs. And I'm patting myself on the shoulder. Oh, look, I'm a great sponsor. I sponsored this guy for 5 years, and he hasn't had a drink. Turns out the reason he didn't drink for 5 years was not because I was a good sponsor. It was because he was reporting to the Arizona Medical Board. And so he was subject to a random urine analysis. So every day he may get drug tested. And after 5 years, he started drinking again.
Oh.
So he passed away in 2012. And at that point, I had 14 years sobriety. So there I was, he had a DUI, he got arrested, and I had a bed for him at 2 different treatment centers. One he had been to previously, another one I had heard good things about. And he refused to go back to the treatment center where he went before, and he had a bad experience with treatment. He refused to do that. And he ended up dying as a direct result from alcoholism. So there I was, 14 years sober. I couldn't save my brother, and I couldn't save my best friend. And so I went on this journey, to try to figure out, is there a treatment center that Jeff and Jerry would have gone to? So that's where the dream of Soberman's Estate started, with Jeff and Jerry. It was very personal in nature. And after many years of thinking about it, my wife, my close friends, my therapist, my mom at the time all said, quit talking about this, open the place. And so I toured dozens and dozens of treatment centers all over the country and talked with hundreds of men that have been in treatment centers and asked what had worked. And I went on this journey to open up Soberman's Estate. Professionally, this is my third career. So my first career was hotel management. So I ran 11 hotels, and I knew how to run hotels. So I had the hospitality piece. And then in 97, I opened up an executive search recruiting firm and did that for about 20 years. And so my second career was recruiting. So I had the hotel piece, how to run a hotel, and I used my recruiting skills to recruit the A team. So for well over a year or so, I recruited what I would call the A team to open Soberman's Estate. So I coupled my professional skills of hospitality and recruiting and my personal passion of helping other men recover. And so that's where the journey came from. And that's where the journey still continues. But that is the Soberman's Estate journey. It's Jeff and Jerry and hospitality and recruiting.
Goodness me. So something out of such tragedy, you're now, doing incredible work for your clients. And from what I've seen, obviously, about your service, it looks a pretty incredible place. It really does. And I'm very touched to be talking to you today, Mitch. I really am. Can you tell us about some of the other team members you have at Soberman's Estate who are dedicated in helping your residents there?
Sure. So we have over 25 employees,
Mhm.
and we typically have an average of 7 clients.
Mm.
So that at any given time, there's more compassionate caregivers than there are clients at the estate.
Mm.
But in the interest of time, I'll share with you that that many of the team members we have are were on my pre-opening team
Mm.
when we opened over 5 years ago.
Wow.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you about 2 of them.
Mhm.
Dr. Gazda, he's our medical director. And so when I was interviewing psychiatrists, I'd ask them questions, and I said to him, what's your ideal day? He said, well, do you do equine therapy or yoga? And I said, yeah, we do. And he says, well, after yoga, I would like to do a group therapy session. And I
Mhm.
said, wait, psychiatrists, don't they spend 8 minutes with a client and quickly write a medicine? And he said, not me. He goes, I'm a psychoanalysis trained psychologist as well as a psychiatrist, and I believe in
Yes.
a holistic care. So he's been our medical director, and he's authored dozens and dozens of studies on medications and up to date on all the medications. But he also believes in a holistic care.
Mhm.
So he's our medical director, and he's been on the team since before we opened. And then another fascinating story that I can't take credit for is our equine therapist, a woman named Janice Story. She's in charge of our holistic programming.
Mhm.
Uh, when I acquired the property, the neighbors were concerned. And so Janice was a neighbor. So she came over and she asked what we're doing here. And I said, well, we're opening up a treatment center. And she said, are you going to have equine therapy? I said, yeah, why do you ask? And she said, well, my business partner and I wrote the curriculum called Freedom Way. So Janice Story and her business partner wrote the curriculum called Freedom Way, and they train other equine assisted coaches to do equine assisted therapy. And so she happens to be a neighbor, and she has
Wow.
9 horses,
Mhm.
and we have our own stables and our own horses,
Mm.
but she's able to talk with each of the clients, and based on their personality and their needs,
Mm.
she may select one of her 9 horses and literally walk that horse to work. So she builds a relationship with every one of our clients, and she also runs our alumni. So when
Mm.
the clients complete their programming, she's the alumni coordinator too. And she's also been on the team since before we opened. So she was a gift. We
Yes.
joke about it, and I say, well, I manifested Soberman's estate because I thought about it for years. And she said, no, I manifested it because I wanted to be able to walk to work. And now she literally walks to work, and the property, her
Mhm.
estate is like we each have 5-acre properties, and they're separated by 365 large steps across the desert. So,
Okay.
so that's a little bit about a couple of our team members.
Wow. It was meant to be, that's for sure, Mitch. Um, can you tell us about your treatment modalities and what you do for your clients?
I sure can. So our clinical program is, we have, it's a 6-week program with
Mhm.
psychoanalysis. We have a team of therapists. So I'm going to just go over some of the
Please do.
modalities that they use.
Thank
They
you.
use CBT, cognitive behavioral
Yep.
therapy.
Mhm.
They use trauma resolution therapy,
Yep.
solution focused therapy, EMDR, which is the
Yep.
eye movement
Mm.
desensitization. That's a mouthful. It's the EMDR.
Yep.
Um, they do psychodynamic interpersonal therapy. They do DBT. And for the last couple of years, we've also been doing accelerated resolution therapy, ART,
Mm.
which
Mhm.
is really fantastic.
Mhm.
And we couple that with traditional psychoanalysis. So both ends of the spectrum there.
Mhm.
We do neurofeedback. So it's a very, we have a lot of modalities within the clinical program itself.
Mhm.
And we've got 2 psychiatrists on board, and we have 4 therapists, licensed professional counselors, again, for an average of about 7 clients. So what's unique
Yes.
about us is that every single client gets a minimum of 3 individual sessions every week. Um, and as far as the programming is concerned, it wouldn't be, you know, complete unless I share with you that treating the client is just part of it. We treat the family
Mhm.
from day one,
Yeah.
and we also continue to treat the clients as part of alumni. So we ask the client, we highly recommend and respectfully request that the client allow their family to participate in treatment. And so hopefully they will, and they'll have a couple individual sessions with their family every week. But even if they say no, we still invite the family to participate every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
in a psychoeducational group. And we do not mention any clients by name.
Mhm.
But if a
Yeah.
client's going back to that household, the people in that household in his circle, we invite them to participate each Saturday And basically they go over the psychoeducation topics for 6 weeks. So when the client
Wow.
goes home, they're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
and they're on the same page. So the family is part of that. And then the family continues on as long as they wish. We have some family members where their loved one has completed residential treatment 2, 3 years ago. And every Saturday they're still there as part of this family group. And same with our clients. We invite our clients to come back once a week as for alumni. And it is alumni, but there's a clinician sitting there that's processing, but it's an alumni group every Thursday. So
Mm.
the local clients that do it on property during the afternoon,
Mhm.
and then the ones that are out of state do it in the evening via Zoom. But that goes on continuously even after they complete the programming.
Wow.
So we really keep in touch with the clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. My next question, which was going to be, what makes Soberman's estate different from other treatment services? And I think you've just answered it there anyway.
Yeah.
Is
I
there
think
anything
one,
you can add? That'll be
yeah,
great.
I can add something small to that. Basically,
Mm.
we only admit adult men
Mhm.
age 30 and up.
Mhm.
And what's unique about us is we do allow the men to bring their laptops and cell phones.
Mhm.
And so that's unique. The thought behind that is, you know, like a personal example, if I go on vacation,
Mm.
I can spend an hour checking in with the estate and
Mm.
spend the other 23 being present for my family.
Mm.
So the same thing applies while in treatment. They can spend an hour with their agent or their office manager or their colleagues and then be present for one-on-one group counseling because you let them keep in touch with the outside world. So it's unique that they can bring laptops and cell phones
Mm.
and, and it's, we look at treatment like a gift, not a punishment.
Mhm. I love it. That's absolutely perfect. So, how are people referred to you, Mitch, and what's the process for evaluating someone before or even when they arrive at Soberman's estate?
Sure. So, um, most clients find out about us from a referral. Um, their therapist or someone that's been in treatment. Um, it's interesting at almost any given time, we have someone in treatment that toured our facility. They may work at another treatment center or be a colleague in the industry, but they tour our facility and they see, you know, with our team of 25 plus and a handful of clients that we have really compassionate caregivers. So almost any given time, we have someone there that has a relative in the industry, which is interesting. But
Mm.
so with that, how they find out about us is basically word of mouth. We don't advertise. It's word of mouth through professionals.
Mhm.
And then we're very, very, very selective. Um, the clinical director interviews the potential admit. First, the admissions director does a full screening. Then the clinical director reviews the screening and talks with the client. And then the nurse also reviews all the medical concerns and speaks with the client. So basically, they've had 3 talks with our team before they're admitted. So
Mm.
we're really looking out for 2 things. One, is it going to help this person?
Mm.
And then 2, is it going to be, will they be a good fit for the milieu? You
Yeah,
know, and to make
absolutely.
sure that it's because the milieu is very, very important. They get a lot from each other. So we want to make sure it's a good fit
Mhm.
all around.
That sounds like a very thorough evaluation. The fact you've got 3 different professionals involved in that process, that's powerful stuff. That really is, because you can look at each different problem and issue around someone's life and put together, is this right for them? And is this the right place for you? I think that's wonderful. I've not really come across many places that have so many not so many assessments, but so many different professionals involved in the process. That's something very, very special indeed. Um, since being in your position, Mitch, have you seen any shifts in drug use or risk associated with this? Because obviously, with fentanyl and the other opioids that are coming into play, sadly, in America and around the world now, I hear. Have you seen any changes at all over the last 5 years, for instance, in drug use or drug risk?
Mm. Well, I can share with you when I was a teenager,
Mm.
um, we used to call it experimenting with drugs,
Yeah.
and my children are older now, but when they were teenagers, it seemed to be the same thing. You experiment with drugs. And
Mhm.
so decades ago, if the experiment didn't go well, you had a hangover the next day. Um, maybe there was a blackout and you forgot what you said.
Mm.
Maybe there was a dent in the car.
Mm.
That's some of those, were negative consequences from experimenting with drugs.
Mm.
So is it more serious now? 100%.
Yeah.
Now the experiment ends in death. I
Yes.
mean,
Mm.
I was at a high school recently where there was a big service for a 16-year-old boy. His mom spoke, his dad spoke, his brother spoke, his sister spoke, and they all shared as the community member. This was a good kid who literally just experimented with drugs one time, and it was fentanyl, and he died. And then an expert from the community came out and told about that this one case was just one case out of the hundreds, and this is going on in every city across the country. So now experimenting with drugs ends in death. So yes, the consequences are just, it's uncomparable.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a game changer. Yeah.
Mhm. Would you say Arizona's experienced a big influx of fentanyl, or is it, obviously it's probably more than statewide, but as Arizona as a state, have you
I mean,
more fentanyl deaths?
yeah, we're a border state
Yeah.
with Mexico,
Yeah. Okay.
and we're a border, from California.
Yeah.
So once it enters the country, it's very readily available. So it's definitely an issue. Fentanyl has definitely become an issue. With my clientele at Soberman's estate, we're mostly professional men.
Mhm.
Most of them are alcohol. Most of them are opiates. They all have co-occurring issues, behavioral health issues. So we don't see any fentanyl as a primary substance of choice, but they've gotten fentanyl in their cocaine or in their opiates that they bought on the street. So even those that are not seeking fentanyl, and again, so to answer your question, yes, it's gotten much more serious.
Yeah. I mean, I ask everyone these questions about fentanyl on these podcasts, Mitch, because I hear some real horror stories as to people finding fentanyl in, I mean, even cannabis I've heard about, and
Right.
more recreational drugs like amphetamines or MDMA or things like that. It just seems everywhere now, and like you said, the risks are so much different to what they were 15, 20 years ago, and it's just ramped up. It's really tragic because it's now happening around the world. I mean, even in the UK, we have it now, I think, and it's just going across Europe. So it seems to be spreading very, very quickly. Last couple of questions, Mitch. I ask all of my guests this question because I get some very interesting and varied answers. But can you tell me your own opinion of harm reduction and how it plays such a pivotal role in recovery?
Sure. If you go into an airport or any public building now, you're going to see a fire extinguisher on the wall, right?
Yeah.
And a good chance you'll see the paddles to start somebody's heart on the wall, defibrillator. But for sure, you'll see a fire extinguisher. A colleague of mine, a friend of mine, and I had this discussion quite a while ago that why isn't Narcan like this? So I'm going to give a plug to a friend of mine. His name's Carrie Davidson, and he has a company called NARSTOP, NARSTOP. And he had this dream where just everywhere you'd see a fire extinguisher on the wall, you'd see Narcan on them. So you'd go see a fire, you'd grab the fire extinguisher and put it out. If you see someone overdosing, you'd run up to the NARSTOP, pull out some Narcan and give them a little shot in their nose, a nasal spray, and can save their life. So I was actually his first customer. I bought the first one because he said, where's your Narcan? I said, we have it on the wall. I said, well, that's good. Most time I go to a treatment center and say, where's your Narcan? Oh, it's in a drawer someplace, and they don't know where it is. And well, we actually have in the nurse's office with a clip wall, so you could grab it. God forbid you need it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you that lead for your next podcast. Yeah, his name's Carrie Davidson. It's NARSTOP, NARSTOP. That's the answer. I mean, I believe in it, of course. I mean, it's saving lives.
Absolutely.
It's different than what I do. Ours is it's treatment. People that want to get help, they're going into help to get help, but we don't do emergency care like that. And that's what that approach is.
Yeah, definitely. Narcan has become such a tool in stopping overdoses. I first came across Narcan around about 2014 when I was in the UK. We used to have it in our drawers all the time. We had the IV version, and very effective because we sadly had people outside of our treatment centres overdosing, and we had to get there very quickly. But Narcan it saved so many lives, and I'm a big supporter of it. So no, that's great to hear, Mitch. You touched on family earlier, and you're kind of, the family support that you offer because it's such a vital component of recovery. Can you tell us about some of the other support that you offer loved ones of the people who attend Soberman's estate?
So it's the point. I was just thinking that we had a woman I just spoke with yesterday who
Hmm.
called and wanted to thank us for being on the Saturday call. She's been coming for over 2 years.
Yeah.
Elderly woman, the son is in his 50s, and he completed programming like 2 years ago. And she still is on our calls, and she has become like a role model to some of the other family members of our clients.
Mm.
Because addiction, alcoholism absolutely affects the loved ones. It just
Mhm.
does. And it
Mhm.
wouldn't be fair if we didn't treat the loved ones along with. So um, we do a ceremony when the clients complete their residential treatment, and we invite the family members to come in.
Mhm.
So if they're able to, they come in and they go through this beautiful ceremony that we host on property. And if they're not able to come in, because many of our clients fly in from all over the country and
Yeah.
several international, sometimes they'll write letters. So last week we had an international client and the family couldn't fly in, but the wife and the daughter each wrote a beautiful letter to the husband, dad, that was in treatment.
Mhm.
And we read that letter to the client,
Wow.
both from the wife and the daughter. And, everyone was standing in a circle at the ceremony, and just seeing how much love and support he has. Um, when the family is supportive, it's gives the client that much more of a chance.
Mhm.
So it's unfortunate, a lot of the marriages end in divorce, but we tell the spouses, look, yeah, his stock is down now, but he's in treatment. His stock's going to go up.
That's
He's
right.
going to get better from here. This is an all-time low. Don't sell now.
That's right.
Let's give this a try. So,
Yeah.
each relationship is different, of course, but we've seen a lot of marriages get better and better. And one of the joys I get is Janice, who runs our alumni, she's constantly in contact with the family. So shows me pictures on a daily basis of, you know, of children and grandchildren, and
Mm.
they're happy and living better lives. And family's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Isolation is a part of our disease, and when we get better, our world grows and our relationships get better.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask that because I was really touched when I saw that on your website about the real support that you offer families. And families are so often forgotten within the process of recovery because sometimes families have just been put through the mill with the addiction and they just don't want to talk to someone who's gone taken them to those places. And but to see what you offer the families, I was genuinely touched by seeing that. So that was great to see, honestly. Last question, Mitch. Have you a message to anyone who is listening to this podcast who is going through addiction or a mental health crisis?
Um, yes, there's hope.
Mm.
My message is that there is hope.
Mhm.
And we've helped a client who came in at 82 years old a few years ago, and he's doing fine. So it's never too late.
Mm.
Um, we do have a speaker every Thursday. We have an alumni come in and speak to our clients. And there was a speaker. I'll give you his first name, Jason.
Mhm.
And during his story, he shows a photo of he did go to AA, and he had maybe 30 or 40 24-hour chips, and probably 30-day chips and a bunch of 60-day chips. So for
Yeah.
7 years, he just couldn't string together more than 6 months. But after like 7 years or so, now he's sober for about 5 years. He comes in and tells his story. And I do, share with the clients, like, he's an exception. He had cheated the Grim Reaper so many times and escaped death so many times that this
Yeah.
is not normal.
Mm.
But now he's sober for 5 years. And this is a guy who just couldn't get it. But now he's got it and he's doing really well and he's helping lots of other people. So my message is there absolutely is hope, and it's never too late. Um, and also that relapse does not have to be part of your journey. So this particular person I just mentioned, Jason, had relapsed many, many times,
Mm.
and I still have hope for him.
Mm.
But when I quit on May 25th, 1998, I haven't had a drink since then.
Mm.
For years before that, yes, stopped and started because I didn't admit I had a problem. But once I really admitted I had a problem, went to treatment, and really decided I wanted to live a sober life, haven't had a drink since. And I have many friends that have 30, 40, 50 years sobriety
Mm.
that are really enjoying the life without alcohol and drugs. And so,
Yeah.
yes, there absolutely is hope. You could have a really good life. And the idea is you take away the alcohol or take away the drugs,
Mm.
it's going to get filled with something worse. It can get filled with gambling or sex or overeating or something. We got to fill it with good stuff. So we take
Yeah.
away the alcohol, and the idea is we actually insist on enjoying life. Fill it with good stuff. Fill it with repair relationship with your family. Fill it with old hobbies you haven't done in a long time. Fill it with good things, because that's the idea that there is hope, and our stock doesn't get back to where it was. It goes higher. Our life is much better than it was. I hear my wife saying to some single friends on the phone, "Oh, you should find a guy that has some long-term sobriety," because we're good people.
Hmm.
And so yeah, if someone's thinking about, can I get this or not? Yes, you can. You can get better. You can get well. It's not too late. If you want help, there's great help available, not just at Soberman the State. We're small, very selective, only men, only adults, but there's a lot of good treatment out there for people who want help.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you very much for that, Mitch. And your last question, can you tell our listeners how best to contact you and to find your service online?
Absolutely. So the, the our telephone number is 480-595-2222. And I am a sober man. So hopefully that will help you remember the name of our recovery center. It's Soberman's Estate. So it's my estate. It's called Soberman's Estate. So if you Google Soberman's Estate,
Yep.
you should be able to find us.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. Well, Mitch, is there anything else you'd like to mention I may not have asked you? Have we covered all the bases?
I think we've covered it very well, and I'm,
Mm.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Chris, you're doing good work. You're getting the message out there that there is help. And so thank you for what you do to help others.
Well, I really appreciate that, Mitch, and I'm honestly so impressed with the work that you've done and the history of what you've gone through and where you're at now is just it's very motivational, I think, and I think anyone listening to this is going to be quite enthralled by your journey and the service you offer your clients. So, thank you very much indeed for joining me today, Mitch, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye bye.